My name's Sergeant Malcolm Young with the Hayesville Police Department.
John Maley with Miltel Incorporated.
Nice to meet you, sir. Just a question for you, John, on security cameras. What type of features are available on security cameras nowadays?
Security cameras have a very wide range, from a cheap analog system to now we're coming out with IP and digital. Your analog cameras are going to be very basic. A good analogy I use is, remember the old 35 millimeter cameras? You took the flash cube out and put it on top.
Oh yeah.
Took the family photo, and if 2 weeks when you got the film back, grandma was all whited out because the flash was too bright, that's what you get. The IP digitals now are more like a digital camera you see professional photographers. The lenses are computerized so they can self-adjust for too much light or not enough light. So we're able to get a lot more detail and give people usable footage that they need when something happens. So,
well, talking about the light, what if it's daylight or nighttime? Is there features out there that work with both day and night?
Yes. So the daytime we call what we call WDR technology. It's wide dynamic range. A good is, let's say you've got a camera shooting across your driveway, and you park your vehicle in the driveway and the sun bounces off of the windshield up into the camera. A lot of times, if it doesn't have that WDR, it's just going to wipe that picture out. It's not usable. With the WDR, it'll self-adjust, again, the exposure and give you a good usable picture. So it kind of works like the pupil of your eye.
Okay.
And nighttime, we actually have what they call supreme night vision, which if there's enough ambient light, which would be a yard light, a street light, you can actually get a color picture at night instead of just a black and white, which tends to help quite a bit too. And then we get into the IR technology built into the cameras themselves. Again, on an analog camera, if you have a person walking to the camera and it's designed to work, it might say up to 30 meters, but it actually has a range. So if you get too close to the camera, it's going to white you out because it's sending too much light back to the camera.
Okay.
On a smart IR, which is what digital cameras have, as you get closer to the camera, again, that lens is going to adjust the exposure, and you have an actual usable picture all the way until you can be right in front of the camera. So those are the big technologies. So in this image, we're showing an analog camera with the IR lights on. As you can see, I get closer to the camera, I'm going to start getting whited out, so you can't even make out who I am. In this image, we're showing you a digital camera with smart IR technology, which will allow the IRs to adjust as I get closer. So as the object gets closer, I'm still a usable picture. Maybe you can go into detail on your end on what type of footage you would need, what type that you could use to prosecute somebody or pick somebody up, as far as.
It really is, from a law enforcement standpoint, what we want is the best video available. If we have an individual that has in an analog system, by the time we get that in, that's going to be a pretty grainy image for us to look at and to try to get a good positive image off of. So the better the quality of the camera, the better we are at being able to view that video, get still pictures of it for identification purposes, which we can use for prosecution of our cases. So I think they go hand in hand. So you just kind of get what you pay for.
Right.
It's from what I'm hearing. So if you buy a cheaper system, you're not going to get as good of video quality as you would with a higher end type system. Right. And I'm sure there's probably a good mixture system in there somewhere that if somebody wanted to buy, it wouldn't cost them, $2,000 to buy a system for their house. So,
yeah. And as far as do you find a lot of customers that don't understand the system that they paid for, don't have support when they do need it?
And that's another issue that we run into with law enforcement, is that we get called out. They say, yes, we have video. And then we're like, okay, can we get a copy of the video? And there's like, well, only one person knows how to do it, and they're not here right now. And it may be 2 or 3 weeks before we can get that video from a business. Or if it's a home that's got it, a lot of times we run into them not knowing how to access the video to review it or download it. So one of our suggestions would be, if you've got those instructions on how to do that, you might get a laminated copy of that, keep it with your system, or keep it someplace safe. So if you do need to get it, you can do it, or we might possibly be able to help you through that process to get that video off of their system. So
How do you run into compatibility issues on some of the systems where you don't know what format the file wrote itself in, so you can't actually view it when you get back to the station, or you have to spend a lot of time researching what format it was shot in?
we get that sometimes, but a lot of the systems that get put into the businesses, it'll download its player for us. So we have a computer that we can download that to, so we can view it, and then we can save it into a format that we can pull up later to view.
Right.
So now I know there's a lot of different types of storage out there, whether it be within the system itself or an external hard drive or cloud. Can you kind of run us through what the difference is on that, and how much storage you can actually get time-wise with those?
Right. Obviously, a digital system is going to use more space because the footage is just more detailed. On an average home, we're looking about 4 cameras. Normally, we try to cover all points of entry and then shoot 1 or 2 across the driveway.
Right.
So on a digital system, we can actually install a big as hard drive as a customer wants. Average on a residence, we go with 2 terabytes, and with 4 cameras recording 24/7, you're looking at about 2, maybe 3 weeks worth of storage. On an analog system, again, same scenario, but you're probably looking almost a month worth of storage off a 2 terabyte. A lot of your analog cheap, and when I say cheap, I just mean going to Costco, going to Sam's, buying their Samsung kits or whatever.
Right.
You can't make the hard drive any bigger. If you go to a digital and buy it through a distributor, professional, they work with the manufacturer and they can customize the hard drive for you. I'm not a big fan of cloud storage because there could possibly be too much interference. Plus, you're looking at most of the time, then you're getting a monthly recurring charge, as to where if you have it at your own house, once you pay for the system and the install, it's yours. So there's no monthly recurring, fees for you.
Right.
And also with the system where you record at your own house, on the digital systems, it's actually what they call a digital watermark. So it's what we consider evidence grade. That nobody can say, hey, I'd altered the footage to show what I needed it to do. So
right. And I know that some of those are standalone systems, and then can some of those cameras actually be hooked up to like a computer and run through a computer instead of through one of those standalone systems like what you would buy at Sam's or Costco?
Yeah, they can all. So you can connect them to your network and allow remote viewing from any type of tablet, smartphone, computer. You can also set logins for different people of the house. So like where you were saying, where you get there and the person there right there doesn't know how to work the system. Well, if I'm the dad and I'm on a business trip, I can actually log in from my hotel room and pull the footage, actually get it. And if it, depending on the file size, I can actually email it to the officer right there from a hotel room. So in those scenarios, those are very user friendly. We do a lot of times with children or with families is we'll give the children an access to the cameras, but they can only view live cameras. So they can't in the future, hey, as they get teenagers, erase the footage of them getting home late at night, missing curfew. But at least if they're coming home, let's say the parents are out to dinner, they can at least check the house before they come into a dark house, make sure that nobody's broke in so they can be secure.
Right.
So there's all kinds of different levels that the new systems give you.
So most of the systems nowadays then have some form of remote viewing, whether it be cell phone, tablet, computer. I've seen some commercials on TV where, as soon as the camera gets activated, they receive a video on their mobile device of what actually activity is going on.
Yes, yes. Almost every system on the market today has the capabilities of remote viewing if you have internet on site. There is some networking involved depending on your internet provider. Some systems have quick connects where they have QR codes where it's very simple networking. Some of your more sophisticated systems, you have to get into your router and know a little bit more about networking. But yes, they're all remote viewable and can be controlled. And if you have multiple systems, let's say you're a business owner, maybe you have some rental properties, there's even software that ties all your mobile units into one. So if you're sitting in your office, one click of a button and you've got every camera that you own right there at your fingertips. So, and also as a business owner, hey, you're the front end manager. You're going to see all the front end cameras for every restaurant we have. You're the back end. You can access all the back end. So it really, not only from, everyone thinks of security cameras as a theft, to prevent theft to this. Well, as a business owner, you also have safety. People trip and falling. So now you can watch your workers. Are they doing things the way you've trained them? Is there a trip hazard that no one went and picked up? So now you know, hey, I need to go get this picked up. So there's actually more uses than just, hey, is somebody breaking in?
Right. And so you have what I guess can be considered live view, which you have somebody sitting directly in front of a computer screen or several monitors watching those images as it takes place live, and then your systems can also just do the record.
Right, and you can record 24/7, which a lot of my residents do because we are in Kansas. You're going to get some false alarms if you try to record off of motion. Right. You know, stray dogs, the wind. And on the new digital systems, you can actually adjust the sensitivity and try to eliminate a lot of those as possible. But yes, then you can record on motion and have alerts sent to you. So it'll actually email you or text message, depending on the system, a snapshot of what that camera is seeing. Then you can also set schedules. So if you're a business, hey, after 5 o'clock, if somebody pulls in my driveway, I want a snapshot of who it is. 8 to 5, I don't want it because I don't want my phone to blow up because I'm open. Right. Same thing for a residential, you know, hey, everyone should be home at night by 9 o'clock. Practices are over, games are over. So if someone comes on my front drive after 9, I want an email, text alert, however you want it. There's also with the digital systems, let's say somebody cuts one of your camera wires. If that camera loses detection of the NVR, it'll send you an email, hey, camera 5 or northwest corner isn't talking to me. Then you as a homeowner or a business owner know I need to take a look what's going on. If the hard drive even starts to have some errors in it, it'll email you and say, hey, you need to have me looked at. I'm winding down my life cycle. Because what we notice a lot is when we do an install for especially residents, the first 2 weeks they play, they're on it every day. It's new, it's cool, but then they forget about it. It's old news. Well, then somebody breaks into something, and that's the wrong time to find out that your system went down on you 2 weeks ago. Right. So now with the new alarms, you can police it. And when we do an install, we actually a lot of times will have the email sent to us, and then we'll call the customer and say, hey, you've got a camera down. I've got a guy headed your way to get you back up and running as quick as possible so that we're not having downtime.
Right. So in cameras, I guess you can have wireless cameras and then hardwired in cameras. I heard you talk about maybe a wire getting cut and an alarm being sent. Can you talk a little bit about what the difference is between the two and the security features between the two?
I'm a hardwire guy. Wireless to me is still just too iffy. How many times do you have Wi-Fi issues at your house? Teenage kids yelling at you because they can't get on, whatever Snapchat or whatever the latest is. But wireless are available. There's a big misunderstanding on wireless. When people think wireless, I can put this camera anywhere. No, you still have to have power. So do you have a 110 electrical outlet within, most of them come with a 10, maybe a 20-foot power jumper. Okay. So do you have power everywhere that you need to put a camera? Most people don't. They don't have, power in their eaves, by the front doors. There's one or two on the house. So that can be costly to have power put where you need it. And then the other thing is, as you get into digital, the footage is very detailed. The files are very big. Right. And trying to send those wirelessly all the time can cause an issue. You got a lot of interference with other wireless devices. We carry a small system that's wireless just because some people that's just what they want, or some houses are really difficult to pull a wire, so we'll make it do. Our biggest seller for the wireless has been somebody wanting a camera inside their house, but when they're home, they don't want to feel like they're being spied on. So we'll put in a wireless camera, then when they leave, they plug it in. So when they're not home, they can, I got one customer that pointed at his big screen TV, and he says, when I'm traveling, if I pull that camera and I know my big screen's still there, I know my house is okay. But then he goes, then when I get home, I can unplug it and I feel what I have. So, but yes, we have quite a few requests for wireless, but then when you explain to them the power, then they back off. The new digital cameras, they just run off a Cat 6 camera, or a Cat 5. It's power over Ethernet. Okay. So that one little data cable carries everything you need from the NVR to the camera itself. So it's very simple. It's easy to hide a wire. Right. It's not the old analog days. You had a BNC connector and then a separate power wire running to that camera. So it could get a little costly for that wire. And then it's not as easily hid in the house. So
right. Placement of cameras. That's one of the things that we kind of look at. What is your recommendations for placement of cameras? How high?
I like to get a camera where it's just out of a reach where an average 6'1" gentleman can't reach up and just knock it. Because we want to get as close to as a straight-on shot of the face as we can to get as much facial recognition.
Right.
So we do see a lot of people that put them up high because it's easier to get the wire there. Or and the other thing you got to remember, especially in a house, is people aesthetically pleasing. We have a big ugly camera right here. I tell customers, yes, I would rather have a little dome that people know is there to protect me than to get the top of somebody's head when they do break in. Again, the police officers, like yourself, would go, yes, I can see somebody broke into your car, but I can't see anything. So I try to tell people at least one camera by the front door or on the driveway, get it kind of down low. We'll do our best to make it look as nice as possible.
Right.
But again, you're using that for the safety and protection of your family. Well, let's make the most of it. Right. And then, there's some general, if you're just looking for a general observation, I just want to know if somebody's in my backyard, then yes, we can get it up out of the way, kind of high. But then another thing too with digital cameras is that the zoom capabilities are a lot better. So we can put a camera a little further away and zoom in, and still it's not going to pixelate like the analogs will start pixelating right away.
Right.
So there's some pros and cons, but yes, that's an education point for us when we do talk to a customer. Let's get them down.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things that we run into as law enforcement is, we get video, but it's put in the very peak of the roof line, on looking down on top of the driveway in the cars, and you get to see the top of somebody's head, and then they're like, well, we need to ID this person. Well, we don't have enough facial features that we're able to do that with. So I know placement for us is a key paramount thing. And I know we just want to make sure that placement gets put in an area that you definitely want to be watching.
Right.
So if you want to see who's walking up to your house, you want to make sure you have a camera that has the best view and angle of the walkway up to your front door. Then we would make sure that you're getting good facial features, qualities that we can use if something happens for identification purposes and for prosecution.
Yeah.
So,
and I think if you look at what Walmart's done, Walmart has a camera eye right at your face. Every Walmart you go in, it doesn't look the prettiest, but bam, and when you walk in, you see that, hey, I'm on camera. It gets people to notice that people are watching you, and so houses, like I said, some people are a little more picky. It's harder to get them to do that, but if we can get them, then hey, and all it takes is one or two people. Word of mouth is very strong.
yes.
Hey, we had a camera put here. This is our footage. We all see it on Facebook every day. Hey, we're looking for this guy. We're looking for this guy. And the good images from the bad ones when you see it on Facebook and say, hey, that person's going to get caught. The new systems with digital, they're even come out with analytics of facial recognition, where if we work, let's say we're a bank, and there's a known bank robber, and we have a pretty good idea who he is, we can load his mugshot into the software, and if that camera detects him, it'll send an email to whoever, whether it's a security guard of the bank, a known bank robber or a bank robber suspect just walked on your property.
Right.
And then it can actually trace their steps if it's like a big Walmart. This guy walked in here, and it'll show you his whole path through the whole store. So
Yeah, for business, I could see that I'm sure there's a nice cost
Yes.
that comes with that. For a normal homeowner, that's probably not something they're going to want to invest into, but for businesses, that could be very beneficial.
Right.
So
yeah. And getting people to talk and getting people to share video, I think, is very important. You know, hey, if you got a clip, share it on Facebook. Chances are, especially in smaller towns, somebody's going to know of that person or have an idea, and those leads will help quite a bit. And in this image, you see where the cameras are mounted high, like at the peak of a roof or something, and all you can see of the image is the top of their head. So if they're wearing a hat or a hoodie, you're not going to be able to catch any type of facial recognition, which is going to help the police officers catch the subject if need be. In this image, we've brought the cameras down to a more manageable level where we'd like to see them. As you can see, compared to the higher images, you're getting a usable picture. You're able to see my face the whole way, not just the top of my head. Even if I've got a ball cap on like I do or a hoodie, trying to cover my face, you can still see who I am, get some facial recognition. In this image, we have shown you the difference between an analog and a digital camera. As we do a 3x digital zoom, you're going to see the analog camera starts to pixelate on you and gives you a not as good detail. The digital image you see stays crisp and clear through the digital zoom. That way, as you're trying to zoom out to the end of your driveway, you're still going to get a usable picture, more detail that the police can use as far as facial recognition, what they're wearing, make and model of a vehicle, all the good stuff that they need to do their job.
And I know you briefly talked about indoor cameras versus outdoor cameras. What is protection that you have for a camera that's placed outside, and what kind of a life cycle do these cameras have?
Depending on the brand, they're all going to have their own warranty specifics. And that's another thing that can help you with doing a professional install. Like ourselves, we're partnered with the manufacturer. We've been to all their training. So we can actually give a 5-year warranty on their cameras versus industry standard 3. That's kind of the benefit of using a professional installer. Then coming with the cameras themselves, most of your indoor cameras are going to have a plastic housing. They're not weatherproof. It's the same chipset and lens that you're going to see in an outdoor, but an outdoor is going to be a metal housing. It's going to have weather seals around it to keep the moisture. And a lot of times when you put an outdoor camera, you want to put a brand new silica packet anytime that dome is cracked, and that'll help keep moisture. And then they also have vandal proof, what they call vandal proof. And if you see some of the videos of the manufacturers, they're hitting them with hammers, they're throwing them in fires. Right. And so that's in the camera world or any electronics, we call that IP66. That's the rating. And it's been tested in a lab that so much wind strength with rain and it didn't get into the camera and stuff like that. So and then you get into even setting it like we got into the alarms earlier. Some of the cameras actually have sensors. So if somebody were to go up and hit it, it's going to set that sensor and let you know that somebody's tampering with this camera. But a lot of your newer digital cameras are going to be very, very robust and come with a very good warranty that the manufacturers do back.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the information, John. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So, have a great day.
You too.